Today we're doing trigonometry, graphing tangent x and cotangent x. So we have the basic graph of tangent x right here, from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. As you can see, it's 1 at negative 1 at negative pi over 4 and 1 at pi over 4. Also, it's 0 at 0. As you can see, this is the basic graph of tangent x. Now we're gonna move on to another graph. This time it's y equals tangent 2x. As you can see, it's basically the same graph as you see from the basic graph of tangent x. Now you have, instead of negative pi over 2 to pi over 2, it's been compressed to half. So it's pi over 4 to negative pi over 4 to pi over 4. As you can see, also 1 is compressed to negative 1 becomes negative pi over 8. 1 becomes pi over 8, and still 0. Tangent of 0, 2x is still 0. Now, move on. Here we just have the basic graph of tangent x, and we're shifting it pi to the right. As you can see from the original graph, you get that one. Then we just move it pi to the right. So instead of negative pi over 2, we add plus pi, so it becomes pi over 2. Our tangent of pi is 0. Tangent 3 pi over 2, so instead of pi over 2, we have 3 pi over 2 for our asymptote. There you go. Now we'll move on. We have tangent of pi minus x. As you can see, I can rewrite it as negative tangent x minus pi. As you can see from this graph, it's basically the same except the graph is now flipped to the other side. As you could essentially basically have the same graph. Now let's move on to cotangent x. I know, guys, it's not the most upscaled graph, but I hope you guys can bear with me. Now let's go on to cotangent x. We have basic graph of cotangent x. Our range is from 0 to pi. And pi over 2 is where it's 0. So here we go. This is the basic graph. Now we're doing the opposite. You see it's negative, it's just reciprocal. Now, it just flips to the other side. Kind of looks like tangent, but don't get tangent and negative cotangent mixed up. As you can see, the range is different. The 0 is also different. Now let's go to another one. It's a basic graph of cotangent x, except it's now cut in half. Now the period is from 0 to pi over 2 from the original graph of cotangent x. So it's basically the same thing, except the periods are cut in half. Instead of pi over 4, you get pi over 8. Pi over 2, you get pi over 4. 3 pi over 4, you get 3 pi over 8. And then pi, get pi over 2. So now let's move on. We're doing shifting as well. So it's basically the same graph as cotangent 2x, but except we're moving it pi over 2 to the right. So instead of starting at 0, we're starting at pi over 2. And then we add pi over 2 plus pi over 2, we get pi. So our cycle, our period is now from pi over 2 to pi. So essentially the same thing, except we're moving our points pi over 8. Instead of pi over 8, it's pi over 8, since we're adding pi over 2. Instead of pi over 4, we're adding pi over 2, it becomes 3 pi over 4. And then instead of 3 pi over 8, it becomes 7 pi over 8, since we're adding pi over 2. As well as the pi over 2 and pi. Here you go, guys. This problem came from a student of mine. I couldn't actually help her because I was out of state, so she gave me a good idea because she had a problem with tangent x and cotangent x, graphing it. So I came up with this way that maybe this can help her how to graph tangent x and cotangent x a bit better. you guys have any questions, you guys can email me at renoxp911@gmail.com, and I can put it on my YouTube, and you guys can look at it from there. Thank you guys, and don't forget to subscribe.